This is the revenue plan to support the expenditure plan the amendment that we passed on Friday. It is a tax increase, granted. Who among us likes to vote in favor of a tax increase? I venture to say no one. I hate the idea. But is a tax increase necessary? You know, my remarks on the amendment on Senate Bill 6 on Friday are appropriate here. In my belief, we cannot stuff $37 billion worth of spending into a $32 billion jar. The leftover becomes old bills that just add to the pile that's already there. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's not a printing press in the basement that puts out green money with dollar bill signs on it. We have to have the money in the account before we can send it out, and we don't have the money in the accounts to send it out. You know, I've been around here too long. I actually go back to the tax increase of 1983 when the increase was from 2.5% to 3%, a 20% increase. And the arguments then were basically the same as they are now, and I understand them. I'm not unmindful of that. But our situation today is far, far worse than it was in 1983 or in 2011. I understand that taxes can be a drag on the economy. They can be a disincentive. But how many of our business people have told us that we need stability and certainty in our tax plan that they can in our tax policies that they can plan around? This revenue bill gives them that, and it ends some of the horrible dysfunction that has infected our government. We have $15 billion in back bills to pay, and we have accumulated $800 million in interest on those back bills. We might as well put a pile of $800 million there in the center of the floor, light a match to it, because that's what it's worth to the people of the state of Illinois. It's just interest on back bills. We're going to address those back bills. Let me tell you, earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial saying, Governor Rauner, you shouldn't capitulate. If you don't get what you want, you shouldn't capitulate. Now, these folks in Midtown Manhattan, writing their editorial, are calling this a capitulation. This coming from the leading financial journal in the United States. People who understand what junk bond status does to any entity that is there. Because their credit rating agencies have said, with no budget in place for FY18, they're going to downgrade us to junk. And what does that mean? That means that institutional investors have to sell Illinois bonds. What happens when they sell? Supply and demand. Put it out on the market, prices go down. What goes up? Interest rates. That means we have to pay more interest. It's called a debt spiral in the marketplace, and that's what we would enter. Now, some of my colleagues say, oh, it's not that big a deal. We can handle it. It's just, it's just a bond rating. Well, I'm here to tell you that we are on the precipice of this debt spiral, and I think it's serious. And I think it's time to stop playing chicken with the fifth largest state in the Union. My friends, let me tell you something very clearly. I was not elected as a state legislator to help preside over the financial destruction of this great state. I respect my colleagues who are voting no, but to me, enough is enough. And let me quote from our governor's call for the special session. He said, quote, "We must agree on a balanced budget plan and get it to my desk before the end of the state's fiscal year." Okay. He goes on to say, "So, on the eve of what may become one of the most important legislative sessions in Illinois history, we're asking the General Assembly to do what those who came before us did that changed the course of history. Have the courage to dare to do what is right. I say to the governor, if these bills pass the House and Senate, the revenue bill and the expenditure bill, we will have
Please bring your remarks to a close, sir.
We will have sent you a balanced budget. Have the courage to do what is right and sign the bills. Bring this madness to an end. My distinguished colleagues, this is not an easy yes vote, but it is a necessary one. I urge you, I plead with you, please vote yes.